You remember when Biden said that the Secret Service wouldn't let him out in public?
President, how was it to be back on the campaign trail today?
It was good.
Was good? How do you feel about Pennsylvania?
Except I'm not able to go out in the crowds anymore. The Secret Service doesn't let me.
No, why not?
Well, because it says it's too dangerous. No one gets to go out. No, we're not. I'm serious.
How do you feel about Pennsylvania right now?
I feel real good about Pennsylvania. I think we're going to win Pennsylvania.
This might be the reason why.
My investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever. And by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the. We should have named it what it was, but at any rate.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
You know, I'm proud to announce that my investments, through my investments, the most significant climate change law ever. And by the way, it is a $369 billion bill. It's called the. We should have named it what it was, but at any rate, the Department of Agriculture is able, from that legislation, to announce $7.3 billion in grants to 16 electrical co-ops nationwide to help rural communities transition to clean, affordable, reliable energy.
And after that, they'll probably never let him out again.
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. And thank you, Senator Ricketts, for not just this particular topic, but Senator Ricketts is a particularly active member on the EPW committee. And I appreciate that because I know you know it, being a former governor, probably better than some others. So interesting developments, some of them topical today. And some of you all have heard me talk about this, but I think this should be an outrage, really, to every tax-paying citizen. We're talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, which is almost 2 years old as of this August. And it also, I noticed in the president's schedule that he was getting briefed on the Inflation Reduction Act. So I'm sure he got this briefing while he was being briefed on the Inflation Reduction Act, which we have renamed Invest in Radical Activities Act, because that's what this is about.
Number one, Kamala Harris is a moron. She's doing,
First of all,
she's doing the Joe Biden with the thumb, number one. But also, she did not answer the question that was asked of her. She reiterated the reason the majority of Americans dislike the Biden population or Biden administration, because the cost of living has gotten so bad. But how can you tell me Build Back Better? And she goes, but wait, I have the answer. Build Back Better, it's designed to reduce the cost of living. Ma'am,
she's saying IRA, Inflation Reduction Act.
Ma'am, 3 seconds ago, you said the cost of everything is up and you know that it's stressing people out. But you just said that your entire 4 years in the White House.
Yeah, but she takes it very seriously.
So, but you just said your entire 4 years in the White House of all of was supposed to make things more, bring the economy down, make it easier for people. And after you just said that everything has gone up, then you say that the Build Back Better is supposed to make it easier or cheaper for people to get childcare. What about people who don't have kids? How does that help them? What about, and then she goes, oh, and for elder care. What about people who don't need to worry about elder care? How does this make anything better for them? You name 3 things, and I don't know a single person who has been positively impacted in any of those three areas.
I would feel like if you really wanted to have an impact, the Inflation Reduction Act should probably focus on food and housing. That would probably be like the number one place that would really help people.
And reduce inflation.
But
but y'all don't have to pay for it. Ma'am, where do you think all the money is coming from?
Right. But better yet, this that you see here is Shelley Moore Capito, Pete Ricketts. This was yesterday. Okay. This was yesterday. So we're getting further developments in this Inflation Reduction Act. But this was yesterday. And I think that this video is probably going to go it's not going to go very far with Forbes breaking news, but it's a really important video.
So we've really been digging into who is getting these massive amounts of grants through the EPA. There's $3 billion in the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, that will go for different climate kind of buckets. And in our investigation, we found that a lot of this money that's going out really has little to do with the environment and a lot to do with funding groups that are basically engaged in what I characterize as anti-American activities. They're anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-police, and anti-border security.
So they always, the NABJ, they want to question Donald Trump. Well, what are you doing for Black Americans? And I'm going to go back and say, this is all Americans. And earlier we heard Kamala Harris saying that, she's making jobs for Americans. We're bringing jobs back to America. And the Inflation Reduction Act is designed to help people. But according to this, it's not.
So the first one I'm going to go to is, and before I do that, I'm also going to say that Vice President Harris, who is now the nominee for the Democrat presidential race, is quoted here. "I've put equity at the center of our nation's largest investment in climate in history to reach the organizations that know their community best." That's what she said when they rolled out and actually named these organizations. And interestingly, today, there was a news article today saying that the green groups have now formed a coalition today, and guess who they're endorsing for president? Vice President Harris. So let's go over to the following one. I say follow the money.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. Follow the money, okay?
It's always been profit over people. This is just a different version of it.
It's not a coincidence that they all have come together and they're going to endorse Kamala Harris.
Because I think that's where you find out. The first one is climate justice. It's up on the top right-hand bar there. $100 million. They have glorified Hamas in a lot of their social media, on their websites and other things. And they think Israel has no right to exist. They're getting $100 million. This is a direct grant to them.
And this is exactly why I included previous clips about how Kamala Harris basically, she left Bibi on red. She didn't even acknowledge he was here at the airport. He ended up going to meet with Trump. He's not even an elected official anymore. And meanwhile, Kamala Harris is more concerned about setting up her booty shaking twerk fest in Atlanta than addressing real issues that affect a lot of people. But she said she's not going to be silent about what's happening in Venezuela. We haven't heard a word from her about what's happening in Venezuela.
There's a lot going on between Elon Musk and the guy who won the election in Venezuela right now, back and forth on X. But what's funny is this is the same government who is sending all the money to Ukraine, but basically funneling it through government companies to make the weapons and everything else. So they're getting the money back. They're laundering their own money. So none of this is surprising to me.
The next one is the NDN Collective. Do you know them? Yes, they're a partner. Yes, they, on their social media, call the United States a so-called country and also call for the defunding of the police and our United States military. Imagine that in these times right now. Next, we have two New York and New Jersey coalitions that are getting $50 million. They're actually going to be participating in granting $50 million. Their quotes are, "The border and concept of citizenship is racist, and wants no collaboration with federal immigration officials, and the ICE agenda is racist as well."
There's another 13 minutes. of this entire video that we can cover in full in another video, just let me know down in the comments what all you want to see next. But who knows? Maybe he's trolling everybody like Tim Pool. Check this out. So now we've got Tim Pool admitting that Ukraine is our greatest ally and Vladimir Putin endorsing Kamala Harris. What next?
That if we can name a favorite candidate, it used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing, her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, it will be the choice of the U.S. people, and we will respect this choice.
Okay, it doesn't stop there. We got to add Chuck Schumer to the list.
The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
We got to add Chuck Schumer to the list, and we got to add Mark Cuban to the list.
I appreciate you calling in, telling us what you're hearing on these fronts. That's great. But as you've said yourself, you can't speak for the vice president. These are things they're telling you. Who knows what they're telling other people? My guess is they're telling anybody who's donating to them exactly what they want to hear at this point. What matters is what they say publicly and what they will stick to.
No, absolutely, positively not. Right. Let me just be very
I don't know.
clear.
Like, why do you think that they're telling you the truth and not telling other people other things?
Well, I don't,
if they won't say it publicly, say it publicly. Tell all of us so that we can hold you to it.
I get it, but you've got to get the details right. You can't just...
Yeah, but we have 60 days till an election. Like, you're asking people to take a flyer.
Even if it's the day before the election, right? Even if it's the day before. Look, the next question is, the second thing I was going to mention earlier.
I just don't want everybody to trade on what we think and what we feel and what we think may happen.
I get your point exactly.
Just tell us.